Hello and welcome to the latest video from Multilingual 101, Empowering Multilingual Families. In our last video, we revealed the easiest foreign languages to learn for native English speakers. Those languages that take between 600 and 750 hours of classes to reach an advanced level. Look out for a link to that video at the end of this video and in the description below. This time, however, things are about to get much more complicated as we reveal the hardest languages for native English speakers to learn. Language learning aficionados of a nervous disposition might even want to look away at this point, as some of these languages take an estimated 2,200 hours of classes to master. Yes, you heard right, 2,200 hours. Just think on that for a moment. In fact, please feel free to press pause and take a moment of reflection. You could even make yourself a strong cup of coffee, but for the most brave-hearted and ambitious linguophiles, let us continue as we prepare to reveal the languages that separate the language learning masters from mere enthusiasts. First of all, however, we should point out that this list is based on the findings of the Foreign Service Institute, a division of the US State Department that has been teaching a myriad of languages to US diplomatic staff since over 70 years. The FIS groups languages into 4 categories of difficulty, from the easiest, effectively those languages most similar to English, through to the hardest, with fundamental cultural and linguistic differences to English. Before revealing the 5 languages ranked as the world's hardest to learn, let us take a look at a couple of languages you might be surprised to learn didn't make the list. First of all, Greek. Forget the old phrase of something being all Greek to me. That doesn't present a fair picture of a language ranked as hard by the FIS, but definitely not impossible to learn. While many English words trace their roots back to Greek, there are still challenges in learning a language that has an entirely different alphabet and grammatical structure to English. If you are curious to learn Greek, start by focusing on your end goal and the extraordinary linguistic riches that await you as you make progress. Imagine mastering a language that has been spoken for 4 millennia and using the same alphabet for almost 3 millennia and all the cultural and historic riches it contains. Another notoriously difficult language to master, but still not on the list of absolute hardest languages, is Finnish, a language that rightly has the reputation of being a linguistic outlier, being unrelated to either Latin or Germanic languages. As if that wasn't daunting enough, consider the fact that Finnish also boasts 15 grammatical cases. Yes, 15. So we'll stop right there and avoid alarming anyone with references to its complex verb conjugations or consonant gradation. So, for any brave linguophiles still watching, we now reveal the 5 hardest languages to learn for native English speakers. We start our list with Arabic. Recognized as one of the most fascinating and distinctive of all languages, Arabic nevertheless offers a potent combination of challenges for English speakers. Written and read from left to right, it also features a completely different alphabet from the Latin or Roman alphabet used in English and familiar to most, but not all European languages. While that script is notoriously tricky for English speakers, the challenge shouldn't be overstated. A difficult alphabet to learn is still more straightforward to learn than a language with no alphabet and thousands of characters. More of that later. If you are curious to learn Arabic, take heart from the fact that few things are as difficult as people feel they are. This is true for Arabic, which has as many characteristics that make it easier to learn as ones that make it harder. For example, the language is written phonetically, so pronunciation is clear once you've mastered the alphabet. You need more encouragement? How about if we mention that Arabic only has 2 tenses, past and non-past? Who said Arabic was too complex? Next up is Mandarin Chinese. Some might assume that Mandarin Chinese is the easiest language to learn by virtue of having the most native speakers. Sadly, that doesn't help English speakers mystified by a tonal language with 55 to 60,000 characters rather than an alphabet. Before you let that total deter you, bear in mind that only around 4,000 to 5,000 characters are in common daily use. While that might offer some solace, the fact of being a tonal language still offers significant additional complexity for learners. If you're worried by the prospect that one word can be pronounced in 4 different ways, each implying a completely different meaning, then we feel your pain. We really do. Alongside Mandarin Chinese, the next hardest language on our list is Cantonese Chinese. The bad news is that things aren't much easier here. In some ways, Cantonese Chinese might even be considered more difficult, with 6 of 7 tones, more colloquialisms, and its more elaborate traditional characters rather than the simplified characters of Mandarin. If Mandarin and Cantonese seem too intimidating, then don't despair. The most powerful tool with all language learning is motivation. However difficult Chinese might appear in its different forms, if you want to learn and are determined to master its complexities and subtleties, then you will. Eventually. Immerse yourself in the language and culture of Chinese, ideally even studying abroad. More than that, take advantage of the kindness of strangers. Put your hesitant beginner's Chinese to the test in a local restaurant or Chinese market, and you'll be rewarded and emboldened by the pleasant surprise you encounter, and the willingness of the Chinese people to praise and encourage someone making the effort to learn their language. We stay in Asia with the next language on our list, which is Japanese. While some learners are initially encouraged by the high number of English loanwords that appear in Japanese, this unfortunately isn't enough to make it an easy language to learn. There are ample reasons why Japanese has earned its place among the 5 hardest languages for native English speakers to master. If anything, the prevalence of words borrowed from English is one of the few common elements of the languages. Don't believe us? Then be prepared for 3 different writing systems, plus plenty of challenging pronunciations and grammatical idiosyncrasies. And don't forget having to learn and respect a highly complex system of etiquette and manners that will shape your use of the language as you learn it. Despite all these factors, there is still no reason to be defeatist. There are plenty of Japanese learners who have a very different experience of the language, pointing to its relatively simple phonology and their gratitude that there are only 2 tenses, no articles, and that nouns don't take genders. Rather than listen to either side of the Japanese difficulty debate, we suggest you make up your own mind. If you have a yearning to learn Japanese and to explore the country's rich cultural heritage, then you're more likely to regret never trying to learn it than you are for trying and potentially giving up. You have far more to gain than you do to lose. Completing our list of the hardest languages and following on from Arabic, Mandarin and Cantonese Chinese and Japanese is Korean. Yes, Korean is challenging for English speakers as much as anything simply because they are so unrelated. However, the chances are that anyone looking to learn Korean already has experience of learning other languages and will have developed solid learning techniques that will help to prepare them for any challenges they're likely to encounter. On the plus side, the Korean writing system is frequently described as being inherently logical and straightforward, and Korean grammar is less complex than it might appear at first. As before, and yes, you might spot a pattern emerging here, motivation and attitude really are key. Focus instead on keeping a positive approach and take inspiration from those sources that amplify the advantages of learning Korean and offer valuable advice and insights on how to make progress. And if all that fails, then ride the Korean cultural wave and let Blackpink, BTS and Squid Game tune your ear to the language and strengthen your resolve to keep learning. We hope you enjoyed this video and that it provides some food for thought as you consider the most suitable language for you to learn. In the meantime, watch out for our weekly videos here at Multilingual 101, with our regular mix of information and inspiration as we put the fun into supporting multilingual families. Finally, if you like this video, please like it below and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Rest assured, we'll be thanking you in as many languages as we can think of. Until next time, this has been Multilingual 101, empowering multilingual families.